We started farming in 2000, in the year 2000, and then we had to leave to go to Tanzania in 2015, so we had a break, and then when we got back is when we came back full time into it.
When you started farming in 2000, what was the major crop?
We were doing tomato farming. There's this crop that was introduced by the Israelis, the indeterminate tall variety. So we started on that with the tomatoes.
What prompted you to start farming?
Well, I used to work full time, and then when I had my last child, I wanted to sort of like spend more time with the children, but at the same time do something productive. And then we had this farm here, and there was the land, there was the water. So I thought, why not? I used to love growing flowers and, ornamentals. I thought, why not grow something that you can eat and make money out of as well?
Okay. And what was the initial investment?
Well, the initial investment was even clearing the land, and then we decided to use the drip system. So we had to have all the pipes laid out, we had to have the drips put in, we had to have a fertigator for fertilizer. So it was heavy, and we were buying seedlings as well.
Approximately, in monetary terms, how would you estimate the amount?
2,000 is such a long way away. I mean, I wouldn't like to lie to you. I'd have to really go back to my books and have a look, because, we'll document everything. But it was a heavy layout, I remember, but I wouldn't lie and tell you this is the exact figure, no.
In your preamble, you did mention that you started with tomato. What prompted you to shift from tomato to cabbage?
Okay, when we did the tomato the first time, we had a very, very successful crop, and then we went away. But when we came back, we heard that there was this illness called tuta, disease called tuta, and everybody was saying how totally out of control it was. And since we hadn't farmed for a while, we said, let's start with something a bit less intricate. And that's why we started the cabbage farming.
How would you describe your experience now with cabbage farming?
Well, like anything, any new crop you try, the first time was, you get better as time goes on, because you're always learning something new. So the first time it was a bit difficult, we didn't really know how to manage it well, but as time went on, and with the help of professional people coming to visit, you sort of like get better and better every time. And right now I'm quite proud of think we've got the best crop we have had in a while.
All right. So how many cabbages, or what land, the size of land are you using to do the cabbage farming?
Okay, we've got, this is 100 by 200 that way. And then even up there, that's 50 by 100. Yeah, and we grow it in stages. We don't grow at first, like this is what I'm saying, you learn as you go on. We would put in 30,000 at a time. And then we couldn't really manage it because the labor, we had the same amount of labor and expected them to do the same job. So we would grow like 30,000 at one time. And then we sort of like learned that it was easier to grow it in stages. Like every 2 weeks we plant like 4,000, 4,000, 4,000. Yeah.
So from the time you learned that you needed to grow in stages, how would you describe the performance, labor plus the plantations?
Oh, it's absolutely been much better because first of all, the workers have got they handle a little bit at a time in different stages, and so even they're not overwhelmed by the amount of work, because you're doing 4,000 and it's growing at different stages, and as long as they give we've got those posters up there which tell you what to put, when to put, so it's actually worked out better growing it in stages than a huge field at one time. Yeah.
How is the market for cabbage farming in Zambia?
Wow. For all the crops we've grown, we've realized that is one of the difficulties, because we don't have a, like a regulated sort of market. Yeah, its fluctuations are immense. When we would do tomato farming, we'd sometimes sell our boxes at that time, I think the highest would be like 80 kwacha. and then the next day it could be 10 kwacha for the same box.
Wow.
So there's, yeah, so there's lots of gluts and lots of shrinkage. So that is one of the difficulties. I mean, people have always said that we must try to find a system of trying to harmonize and regulate, but people are still working on that. Yeah, that's one of the difficulties.
So currently, do you have a market for your cabbage?
Yes, we do. Actually, funny enough, I think that COVID had some positives and negatives. As you know, most of our Zambian fresh produce comes from South Africa. But obviously, when there was the border closures and things like that, even these major chain stores had to turn to the locals. And it actually benefited us because they turned to us, and even being able to supply became a lot easier. So yeah, we've got a very good chain store which we supply, and it's really worked out positively.
When you're supplying to these chain stores, what are some of the things that these chain stores are looking at? Are you meeting the standards?
Oh yes, definitely. And that is what has actually inspired us, because at first you thought it's a real nuisance, but like you, when you go to a shop, you want the best possible because you're paying the price for it, so you don't want to buy a substandard good. So in a sense, that kind of like helps you want to get better, you know, because even when we started, they would literally reject us and say, take this truck away, we can't accept this. And on one side it felt painful, but at the same time you're thinking, no, we should keep to standards. We should want to supply the best to the Zambian market. So yes, they are very insistent on good quality, well packaged products, and it actually inspires you more than it demoralizes. It actually inspires. Yeah.
So I understand that these crops sometimes encounter some pests and diseases. What chemicals or fertilizers do you use for these crops?
Okay, yes, that's it's quite interesting because different seasons come with different problems. Rainy season, you have different problems, and now heading towards the hot season, we have different problems, and specifically like lots of aphids and insects. So we use like benzoate, which we get from ETG, and yeah, a few others.
For the fertilizers?
So basically, yeah, we buy Veg Mix B, which is good. We buy the top 24 from ETG.
Then how would you describe your relationship with ETG?
Good. I mean, first of all, they're near to where we live because they've opened up there in M-Face. Before we'd have to go all the way to town. So that's very, very, what's the word I want to use? Convenient for us. And yeah, they've got very good, honestly, sales staff. You know, very helpful, very receptive. They come up very, I like their PR rather, that's what I would say. You know, you call them up, you ask for a product, and then they'll tell you what it is, they'll tell you the amount, you tell them I'm coming there, and yeah, their service is very good. That, yeah, I think I really enjoy that. And then when we do say we're struggling with our crop, they come over. They have what do you call them, outfield visits, and every time when we've asked them to come over, they come over and they'll walk around. Now,
word of advice to the farmers that are still struggling to get chemicals as well as extensional services for their farming activities.
Okay, what I would say from personal experience is that people are fearful that there's a huge cost to asking people to come out and visit. You know, they think that there's a charge. But I think that if you show support, they will support you likewise. Don't be afraid to ask and try to learn, and don't be fearful that, you know, you'll be asked to pay an exorbitant amount or anything like that. Yeah, that's what I think. That's what I would say. Yeah.
You have been into farming from the year 2000, and this is the year 2021.
Wow.
Your word of encouragement to upcoming farmers and those that are already into farming but feel they want to stop doing farming.
Well, it's I would say that it's not predictable, okay? I mean, it's not really predictable. You can get natural disasters sometimes. There was a time when we were growing cabbage and we had a storm in April and a hailstorm, and it just broke, you know, it ripped up all our cabbage. And it was very, very disheartening. But I think like anything else in life, you have your ups and downs and your trials. But at the end of the day, the satisfaction you feel, this land is here, water is here as a resource, you know, keep marching on. Yeah, it's challenging like anything else. There's nothing easy. But when we load up the truck and I see it going to the market, there's not a better feeling. And even I was telling you earlier that about the tomatoes, you know, I really appreciated women in Zambia because at 5 a.m. they'd be here, buy tomatoes, put them on the back of Echitenge, and walk down to Bauleni, you know. It was very sort of like inspiring to see them doing that, and it motivates you. Because you know that you're helping a fellow woman, you're helping another family. Yeah, so tough, but keep going. That's what I would say.
There are women out there, the mothers, as well as, I would say, having a white-collar job. They have the capacity to do farming, but still thinking back to say they cannot do it because they're still depending on their white-collar jobs. What could be a word of advice?
Well, look, I mean, you know, there'll be a time when one will retire or maybe not have a job. There may be a time when things change, and it's always good to have something else to fall back on, I would say. So you don't have to do it on a huge scale because, to be honest with you, you need to monitor and manage. So I wouldn't say do it on a huge scale if you're working full-time. You know, you need to have time for it, but even a small patch. You know, in your backyard, you can perform miracles, you know. So you can work, and at the same time, weekends, you go out there and you just do something, you know, grow something. It's very motivating and very, you know, it gives a lot of satisfaction. Yeah.
And your words to ETG for providing you with the best services in your farming activities.
Yeah, no, I'd like to thank ETG because, like I said, I've never walked into your offices and seen a sour face. Always willing to impart information, and even when you describe a problem, they'll ask you, have you got it on the phone? You know, can I see what the leaves are looking like? And they'll always want to help you. You know, very, very positive attitude. And really, honestly, I have no complaint. It's been a pleasure. Yeah, it's been a pleasure of them.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of AgriFocus.
Thank you so much.
Well, viewers, that was our AgriFocus guest on this episode with ETG. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been Rebecca Lungu Daka.